This episode is brought to you by Wizard of Rocks. Find out where the yellow brick road will lead you. Wizard of Rocks features thousands of pieces and unique varieties of crystals, gemstones, mineral specimens, jewelry, and magical wares. Go check out Knoxville's wizardiest rock shop, located at the Southern Market in the Bearden area of West Knoxville. They're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 5400 Homburg Drive. Whether you're a collector, a first-timer, or looking for the perfect gift, the Wizard has something for you. Tell them Creative Evolution sent you. Hello, and welcome to Creative Evolution, the show that gives artists a real plan for a long-term career. I'm your host, Josie J. Today, I'm coming from you directly from my home studio for the April Evolution Report, Dispatch number 2. Over the next bit, we're going to look back at the incredible blueprints our guests laid out for us in month 2. My mission has always been to challenge the status quo, create a safe space for new artists, and transfer a successful blueprint for long-term career success. Today, we are doing exactly that by distilling the absolute best advice from my conversations with Sam Travis, Nicole Starnes, Luke Walker, and Vinny Vineyard. But before we dive into this month's recap, let's set the tone. Massive action equals massive results. Let's start the evolution. Can we do it? Let's dive right into the recap from April, revisiting episode 5, Stepping into the Spotlight with Sam Travis. Sam is a fantastic musician, the frontman for Sammy T and the Sunny D, and a social media manager right here in Knoxville at Promotion. For a long time, Sam was playing bass in the background, just watching the industry, before he finally stepped up to be a band leader and front his own project. He admitted that stepping into that leadership role is intimidating and really requires you to check your ego. Sam gave us some brilliant advice on this. If you're struggling to step up, you have to check your intentions. If your leadership comes from a place of authenticity and you actually care about the people you work with, the rest will come naturally. We also talked about the reality of failure. Sam shared that one of his biggest personal setbacks was simply having expectations that were too high. It is a hard truth, but when you psych yourself out expecting a massive high, you're only going to crash out mentally, especially when things don't go perfectly. And when do they ever? It's okay to get excited, but taming those expectations is vital for surviving the emotional roller coaster that is this industry. And speaking of that roller coaster, we talked about how disheartening it can be to face rejection for booking venues, or worse, to get no answer at all. Sam's strategy for this is completely actionable. If you can't get booked, go to open mic nights. He credits open mic nights as the catalyst that jump-started his return to music after COVID and helped him meet most of his current bandmates. He calls them true gig makers and vital networking platforms. I know it can be terrifying to lay your heart out in the room full of strangers, but as Sam wisely pointed out, the safe space to express yourself is ultimately just a mindset. If a venue gives you a microphone, all you need to do is pour your heart out. Up next, we're going to pivot to the comedy world and talk about surviving public rejection with Nicole Starnes. But first, let's listen to Sam's brand new single, Sunshine, along with a few tracks from Corey James Clifton, Rastafari, and Analog Kid. Can we do it? I hope you enjoyed that music break, because I certainly did. Now let's pivot from the music stage to the comedy club. We're looking back at episode 6, Bombing, Boundaries, and Being Kind, with the incredible Nicole Starnes. Nicole is an actress, improv performer, and the #1 host and MC of East Tennessee. Her story is so relatable because she didn't plan to become a comedian. She just filled in to host a show for 5 minutes, and her entire world changed. But one of the most vital turning points in her journey was making the mental shift from treating comedy as a fun hobby to actually treating it as a serious career. She told us she realized she was put on this earth to make people laugh, and she had to get on the grind and take it seriously. Part of treating your art like a career means surviving the brutal public reality of rejection. Nicole was wonderfully vulnerable with us about bombing a set in Virginia. She joked that she went through the stages of grief and initially tried to blame the audience, but ultimately she had to take a hard look at herself, take accountability, and tell herself, "No, Nicole Starnes, that was you this time, sis." She realized that she was an instrument for the audience, and that day her strings were loose. Instead of giving up, she took that failure, got out her notebook, and started fine tuning her craft. To make sure that she's always prepared, Nicole takes knowing her target audience to the absolute next level. She gets to every single venue an hour early, tells people that she's security so she blends in, and literally watches the crowd walk in. She studies the audience before she ever picks up a microphone. We also talked about setting boundaries and the danger of burning out by constantly saying yes. When you're first starting out, it's easy to take any gig just to get your name out there. Nicole admitted that there were times she would play venues just so she could get free pizza and beer because she needed to eat. But to build a sustainable career, she had to break the habit of saying yes to everyone. She reminded us that eventually you have to protect your worth and stop driving 30 miles down the road just for 20 bucks. Nicole called out a major issue in local creative scenes: procrastination. We are so accessible to our fans that people get comfortable and say, "I'll just go see them next time." And her solution is brilliant. She challenged listeners to treat local shows like a religion. Every time you go out to support a local creative, bring two people with you who have never seen them perform. Now, up next, we're going to dive into the world of independent filmmaking and discuss the concept of failing forward with Big Luke Walker. But before we get to Big Luke, let's listen to the incredible independent artists we featured during Nicole's episode: Feral Kitty, China Styles, Jordan Albright, and Shayla McDaniel. Let's take a listen. Can we do it? Welcome back to Creative Evolution. Let's shift gears and dive into the world of truly independent filmmaking and music. We're looking back at episode 7, Failing Forward and Finding Integrity, with the incredible Big Luke Walker. Luke is a former police officer, a professional wrestler, and a paranormal investigator who transitioned to a full-time musician and independent filmmaker with Big and Funky Productions. Luke brought such a refreshing, unfiltered perspective to the show. One of the most powerful things we discussed was his mindset about making mistakes. He subscribes to a theory called failing forward. He told us that failure has always been his best teacher because every time you fail, you learn exactly what not to do the next time you try. Instead of letting setbacks stop him, he uses them to fine tune his craft while keeping his creative spirit intact. When it comes to his films and music, Luke completely challenged the idea that you need massive Hollywood budgets or industry gatekeepers to succeed. He dropped this brilliant piece of advice: money doesn't tell a good story. Money will never tell a good story. He reminded us that if you hand your project over to a massive production company, they're going to strip away the heart of it just to make it safe. For Luke, maintaining his integrity is always worth more than a massive paycheck. But what resonated with me the absolute most was how Luke treats his local creative scene. He is the ultimate protector of his community. Instead of viewing other local musicians as competition, he actively champions them and treats them like family, even referring to younger artists in the scene as his kids so nobody messes with them. He beautifully described himself as an outlet on a wall, a safe place where people can plug in, recharge, learn something, and then move forward. Up next, we're going to wrap up our month 2 recaps by diving into the polarizing and hilarious world of Luke's production partner, Vinny Vineyard. But before we get to Funkmaster V, let's take a listen to the incredible artists we featured during Big Luke's episode: Emmy Sunshine, Cindy Hunt, and Spaceman Jones, who actually played in one of Big Luke's movies. Let's take a listen. Can we do it? Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, to wrap up our month 2 recaps, we're diving into episode 8, Doing It on Your Own Terms with Vinny Vineyard. Vinny, also known as Funk Master V, is Big Luke's production partner, a paranormal investigator, a former pro wrestler, and an independent filmmaker. Vinny's journey is all about radical independence and doing things his own way. Early in his career, he realized that it is often much easier to make people hate you than it is to make them like you. So he fully leaned into the bad guy persona, what they call a heel in the wrestling world. He taught us that standing out and being polarizing can actually be a massive advantage. You don't have to kiss up to industry gatekeepers to be successful. You just have to know exactly who you are and own your swagger. He also completely challenged the assumption that we have to wait for Hollywood to tell our regional stories. Vinny is passionate about bringing untold Appalachian legends to the screen. He reminded us that there are so many incredible stories right here in our own backyards that aren't being told. And as independent creatives, we don't need anyone's permission to tell them. Beyond entertainment, Vinny's radical independence also led him to take a major political risk by running for governor of Tennessee in 2018. He ran alongside a large coalition of independent and third party candidates to protest a political system that requires a crazy amount of signatures just to keep independent voices off the ballot. Vinny admitted he knew he wasn't going to win, but he ran as a movement to bring awareness. Most importantly, he told us he ran so his daughter would know that you have to actually stand up for what you believe in instead of just sitting around arguing with people on the internet. But his most profound realization was about how we define success. Vinny told us that your final destination shouldn't just be happiness, because happiness is something that happens along the way. He reminded us to look around and realize that we are in the good old days right now. Making crazy art with your friends today during the journey, that is the actual success. Before we dive into the next segment on crafting your unique selling proposition and building an unforgettable persona, let's take one final music break. Let's listen to a little bit of Space Funk from Appalachia with Rastafari, along with Jay Bush, and a track from my own band, Josie J and Dessert. Can we do it? Last month, in dispatch number one, we built your customer avatar and asked the critical question: who is your art for? This month, we're taking it a step further and asking, why should they choose you? In an industry where thousands of songs are released daily, having great music simply isn't enough to guarantee a long term career. You need to define your unique selling proposition, or USP. Your USP is the specific element that makes your art memorable and completely different from everyone else in your local scene. To actually build this out, you cannot rely on being generalized. You have to stop saying, I'm a musician who plays for everybody. Start defining what makes you special. To figure this out, I want to challenge you to sit down this week and honestly answer four key questions. One, what exactly do you do? Don't just say, I play music or I paint things. Dig deep. What makes you unique? Are you a redheaded violinist from Kentucky who gives incredible lecture performances of Bach? Are you a neo soul band that delivers high energy live shows? Define your specific art. Number two, who do you do it for? This is where your customer avatar from last month comes in. You aren't playing for everyone. You are playing for your specific super fan. Do you want to play for advanced students, a bunch of CEOs, or people who just need a reset after a long week of work? Number three, where do you do it? Where do you do your art? What is the vibe of your delivery? Is your art an ultra exclusive, high end event where everyone wears black tie attire, or a casual, come as you are neighborhood throwdown? Do you communicate with your audience and tell juicy behind the scenes stories, or are you just aloof and formal? Number four, why do you do it? Why do you do it? What is the deeper purpose behind your art? Are you doing it because you want to create a positive ripple effect in your community? Are you doing it to advocate for other artists, or simply to provide a safe space where people can plug in and recharge? Getting crystal clear on these four answers is the foundation for building a brand and a persona that people will actually remember. When you know your USP, it creates a clear, easy story for other people to tell, which makes it infinitely easier for your fans to refer you to new listeners and talent buyers. If you want to see how powerful this can be in action, look no further than two of our recent guests, Vinny Vineyard and Luke Walker. Both of these artists realized that leaning into a highly specific identity is the absolute key to creative survival and building a brand. In Vinny's case, he realized early in his music career that there was a massive disconnect between his band's serious teen angst lyrics and their wildly entertaining stage show. To stand out, he intentionally adopted a sarcastic, antagonistic bad guy persona on stage to rile up the crowd. He learned that it is often easier to make people hate you than it is to make them like you. This self depreciating heel persona helped him stand out in the local music scene and perfectly set the stage for his transition into professional wrestling. Luke Walker used a persona for a completely different kind of creative survival. Luke was diagnosed with adult Asperger's syndrome and struggled with severe social anxiety. When he was recruited to train as a pro wrestler, he was terrified of pretending to fight in front of a crowd. However, he turned that anxiety into his big Luke persona. He realized he didn't have to go into the world as Luke Walker, the guy who would rather sit at home and play Nintendo. He could put on the armor of Big Luke to fight through the fear, perform confidently, and eventually apply that same fearless persona to his daily life and music career. Whether you're building an edgy bad guy persona to polarize a crowd like Funkmaster V, or creating an empowering alter ego to conquer your stage fright like Big Luke, finding your unique identity gives your target audience a reason to choose you. Take some time this week to answer those four USP questions. Embrace what makes you different and start building the persona that will define your career. Now, to wrap up dispatch number 2, I want to leave you with your ecosystem audit. Big Luke and Sam Travis both stress the absolute importance of protecting and supporting other local artists. So audit your network this week. Write down 3 ways you can actively champion another local creative, whether that means going to their open mic, sharing their single, or just telling someone else about their art. And finally, your challenges for this week. First, let's take some time this week to sit down and answer those 4 USP questions. Whether you're building an edgy bad guy persona or creating an empowering alter ego to conquer your stage fright, embrace what makes you different. Start building. Let's build those personas that define our careers. Next, Vinny dropped an incredible piece of advice at the end of his episode. He said, inside of you, there's at least 20 bad movies. Start making them now. Whatever your art is, start making the bad versions right now just to get the crap out and polish your craft. Couple that with Nicole Stearns' simple rule. Make it a habit this week to just say hi, good morning, and be kind. And as Big Luke Walker commanded us, do it. Do it. Keep doing it. Remember, massive action equals massive results. Success in this industry isn't magic, it's a strategy. I'm Josie J, and until next week, your time to evolve starts right now. Can we do it?